Hey, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. I'm here at Walmart today. I was doing some early grocery shopping. I already was getting some groceries, getting some gasoline for my car. I came in today. I want to show you they got a new screen on here, 100% battery, 12 hours remaining. So a lot of times you get a little bit of confusion sometimes. Is the battery charged? Is the battery not charged? When you turn on the electronic carts, they have kind of a color-coded reader bar that shows how much battery is. This has got sort of a digital image there, sort of a newer technology type thing. Makes it just a little bit easier to see how much battery is left in the cart, how fast it may depreciate, not depreciate, but lower the charge in the battery or whatever. So anyway, I'm just here kind of getting some groceries and stuff, trying to figure out what to do. I had a couple of bills and stuff I had to pay, and actually I'm going to go along for the ride today. What I'm going to try to do is go to baking supplies. I have sort of an interesting recipe I want to make. I don't actually know if it's a recipe or not. It's just kind of something I was feeling of making with some of the ingredients that I bought. So one thing with some of the grocery stores is you don't know exactly. Some of the stores have a separate kitchen and home section. Some grocery stores have like a baking goods within the grocery section. We'll see, but like some grocery stores within the grocery aisle, you'll find a section of like pots and pans, just like little stuff that you can buy or add. This is a lot of that cleaning stuff. So I think what I'm going to do is go to a separate home or kitchen section. I got up today. I had a little bit to eat. Some mornings you don't go for the breakfast. You just sort of get out the door. And I knew I was going to be a little bit hungry. I didn't have time to toast the bagel. Whatever else you're going to eat. I had a little bit of a snack. And I thought, that's going to get me right through. And after I got gasoline, and I came here, all of a sudden I said, man, I'm hungry again. Should I have, something to drink that, will make me feel a little bit less hungry? Or, I guess technically you can say, well, I should go home, or you can buy something at the store. Now let's see, where am I going here? Crafts, menswear. I need to find kitchen section. We've got a lot of haze, I guess fog haze, where I live today. So when you wake up, sometimes when you wake up, you think, oh man, that haze, that fog is so cool. It's like that, that clothing company London fog. You're in New York City, you're in kind of a city, a village. You got sort of a long coat on to keep you warm in the cold winter when you're walking everywhere. A lot of large cities in the rest of the world, if it gets cold, not extremely cold, but like, sort of London type of cold. I'm using London as an example because I haven't actually spent really very much or any time there. But, you see photos and you see movies. I mean, all the movies from Britain and stuff. And even being in New York, you'll see those companies that have like the nice clothes and stuff. I remember going into a Bloomingdale's in New York and I saw this, I'm trying to think, I think it's Burberry, the company that has kind of the sort of that tan plaid type thing. They had this beautiful Burberry coat and it was a black coat. I think it had a zipper or buttons, I can't remember, but it was thin and warm and it looked like it would stay cool kind of in the fall, the spring, but you'd also be able to wear it in the winter with a sweater. It was a little bit out of what I could afford. And some of the other stores there, I think they're still open. Sometimes you get so many advertisements. If you live in a city with lots of like sort of winter type seasonal clothing, right? A lot of places in the United States don't really have seasons of fashion, right? I mean, I'm not talking about like, specifically, but some places like New York, I don't know about Chicago or Miami, at times maybe Los Angeles, you'll have sort of seasonal clothing where, the people that live there, if they depend on their clothing for a certain look or a certain way, they may have clothes for each season or something, as opposed to just saying, oh, when this coat wears out in the winter, I'll throw it out or whatever, and just wear it until stuff like basically, shreds or whatever. Some people have items like that they use anyway, but some people have definite kind of the seasons, the trends, the fall fashion, all that stuff. Not necessarily that's, on the runway or in the magazines. I'm just talking about people actually wearing stuff. It takes a lot of money, and it's difficult for people to attain sort of that level of success in terms of being able to purchase each season's fashion and clothes. And so sometimes people get new clothes, sometimes it's just different stuff like that. But I guess the point I was making is that here we have this fog and this haze, but we've also had a lot of pollution warnings here, and I've also seen on the West Coast where you'll get kind of this fallout, kind of hazy weather in the day, even when it's warm and sunny or whatever. And it's not to be confused with kind of a cold, evaporating sort of either lake water, marsh water, river water, or even sometimes, I guess, an ocean water, fog or mist that is sort of this clean sort of like evaporation in the early morning, of sort of the water that's either, collected in the grass or in the ground or is breezing off a lake or an ocean or something. And so, it becomes different once you've had, sort of exposure to some of the toxic sort of, pollution. And you think, the fog is, it's not as enticing to like, go for kind of like a, sort of walk through, down the road or whatever. Now I don't live in, a city street area. It's just sort of like you can go to the park or you go get in your car or whatever, and there's kind of this fog or whatever. Now you don't obviously wear some of the city type clothing that allows you to sort of walk a little bit longer distance, sometimes much longer distances, when you talk about city blocks or city streets or even kind of like getting groceries, that type of thing. There are some people here that do tend to walk a little bit longer distance for groceries with some of the city carts, but the experience is a little bit different, I think, in my opinion, because, you're not sort of contained in a city where you could stop, right, and change your route or change your purchase strategy depending on how you feel. And I guess it takes a long time for me to kind of realize that out here, right, if you're like, I'm going to kind of like live in the city and have a cart, that I'm going to go maybe 3/4 of a mile to the grocery store, right, and then bring the groceries back. In a city where you have different shops and streets and apartments and stuff, as you go on your way to that grocery store, right, which let's say is 3/4 of a mile or 2/3 of a mile, right, maybe it's almost a mile, right, and what you would end up doing eventually, right, sometimes, right, is if it's going to rain or I don't know if it's going to rain, you can say, I'm going to stop in here and get a coffee, right, because I don't want to keep walking, or all of a sudden it's unusually hot, or the weather changes, or I don't feel as good, and so that's kind of the great thing about, if you do live in a city, is sort of changing, what you may want to do at certain times, and then some people live actually right next to a grocery store, right across the street or whatever. They just hop out of their apartment, go get groceries or whatever. And I think even if you have parks and drive-through ways and, beautiful sort of landscaping and stuff here, if you decide to walk in more of a suburban area, you don't have that immediate choice of stopping at a store or another location to change your mind if you want to go somewhere, especially if you walk. If you're driving, you can kind of drive a different path or whatever. And so I think that it's hard to know that. Most people just say, well, you got to drive everywhere because everything's farther away. But sometimes it can be as close, but you don't have that choice as you're going to that store if you want to change your mind and do something else or go somewhere else. So once you have that pollution for a few weeks and you remember it, you think a little bit differently about that fog outside. And we have had some of that hazy sort of fog this morning, and it is kind of a little bit cooler today. but some of the temperatures have been getting, going up quite a bit in the middle of the day. So you get quite a difference in terms of the nighttime temperature and the evening temperature. So the point why I'm shopping in this aisle, right, is that I'm thinking about getting some molds for making this item, but these are a donut pan. I don't really want to get a donut pan. It has a hole in the center. See, what I'm trying to do is get a mold for patties. Did I say that right? They technically would be patties. See, I bought there was a coupon for $1 off of ground beef. I'm going to buy the ground beef. I'm going to cook the ground beef. I'm also going to add some seasonings. I bought some Anaheim peppers, and there was some discounted pork fat. So I'm going to kind of mix that in, and I think the thing I'm going to mix in is I bought chopped almonds, roasted chopped almonds. So it'll be like crunchy, beefy, and a little bit of peppers and spices. But because the ground beef was $1 off, I bought quite a bit. So I got to roast it. Then I've got to stir it and separate it from the pork fat, which will be flavored with a little bit of almonds, a little bit of peppers, and ground beef. And I thought when I get the ground beef, what I'll do is I'll take it out with a slotted spoon. So I remove the fat from the ground beef and the peppers, right? And I hope to remove the liquid from it, right? But then I would put, because what I would want to do later with the panini grill is I want to put it in kind of a mold, just a refrigerator or whatever, so it kind of sticks together a little bit. I was hoping in sort of a hash brown type, like basically the McDonald's hash brown shape and width, right? And then basically just, keep that cool in the refrigerator as it kind of firms and hardens with the chopped almonds in it, and then lay that on the bread with cheese and some butter, and cook that in the panini grill. Just warm it up, heat it up in the panini grill, and you'd basically sort of have kind of this like, crunchy almond, ground beef and pepper seasoned cheese, sandwich. But I can't find any molds at Walmart. I'm finding a donut pan, which I guess sometimes would work, but I don't really want that hole in the center. So I got to put that back. It's about $9 too. And you can go for the mini muffins, but they're going to be deep. That's the problem. The mini muffins are always, actually these are not too deep. You can see them here. This is a $6. And I can't remember whether I should buy this or not. But you put 2 of these, and then it becomes kind of like a meatball type thing. But with no bread. I didn't mean meatball. I just meant like, no bread or whatever. I really want about 6 or 8, a small 6. I guess you could do a mini 3 of basically McDonald's hash brown size mold. And you basically have kind of these refrigerated, hardened sort of, sort of sandwich ground beef, and you could warm that up in the panini grill. I'm going to try the 24 count Mini-Muffin because I did buy, the ground beef was not that expensive today, but also I got a discount on it. So I bought Ballpark hot dog buns. They had like a manufacturer coupon for $1. I was like, all right, sounds good, I think I could do 24 of these. These are actually not that deep. They're a little bit under deep. I know that sounds weird, but I think you could put 2 of these in a panini and they might flatten a little bit. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to have to wash it though. So it's about $6.64. It does have that kind of that non-stick, so I think that's going to be okay. I hope I can get each one out of it You know, sometimes they freeze and stick. You got to kind of knock them out, like upside down, but then they all fall out, you know? And I'm going to go with the crunchy almonds, too. If you can buy, you know, sometimes the stores have the sort of that self-dispenser type thing. Crunched almond or chopped almonds are going to be generally a little bit more of an expense item, but I'm trying to think what else I was supposed to buy here, or what I wanted to buy. Anyway, I'm going to end there. I told you about that, so I'm going to go home and try to make that today. I hope you're doing well. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.